The following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is onair@yourteam.pro. And now, right to your host of Your Home, Your Money, Anthony.
Good morning, ladies and gents. Thank you for joining me here again. For right now, it's just myself here, my co-host, Randy. I guess he likes to talk about how he's always on his missions at night, so I think that mission might have overtaken him for this morning, so he should be joining us in a few minutes, him and Jackie as well. But we're here for now, so let's get this party started. We've been talking, again, we always talk about real estate, and one of the things I want to talk about, and I'm sure Randy will chime in when he gets in, is how the market has kind of we've done crazy things here with our interest rates. Our rates have gone up exponentially from last year. Started at 0.25%, rose all the way to 4.25% for the year. And I have an article here. Well, so this is what happened in Canada. In the States, something similar. The rates have gone up there as well. And this is not just a North American thing. In Sweden, I actually read an article this week. They're going through the same kind of, well, to be blunt, crap that we're going through here. And basically, the article I read said Sweden is facing its day of reckoning as house prices plummet. So again, it's COVID pretty much did a number in North America, Canada, the U.S., and as we're seeing in many different markets, where it's kind of the same blueprint happened in Sweden, where their economists said the same thing, where the rates are going to stay stable. We're not going to do anything to the rates until 2024, so don't worry about it. Get your mortgage, buy your homes. Everything's going to be great. And lo and behold, the same thing that happened here, their rates started to go up and up and up and up. It wasn't as drastic as it was here in Canada, but they had something similar where it's gone up quite a bit, and now they're kind of worried about what's going to happen, because just like here with a lot of people had variable mortgages. So again, those variable mortgages were very nice early last year, where you're paying a very low rate, but as the rates go up, your mortgage goes up as well. So discretionary income goes down because you're taking from somewhere to pay your mortgage, right? So in Sweden, they're going through that same thing. A lot of I guess fears in the market. So I just wanted to kind of start off with that, and I'll bring it back up when Randy comes. I'm sure he would have a lot of things to talk about with that as well. But so it's not just here in Canada or in the U.S. It's going pretty much, it seems, on a global basis, where it looks like no one knew what the heck to do when we were faced with these issues, and people we basically just made money super cheap, and people flooded the market. People buying home left, right, and center. Again, it was like this: you go to buy a house, and there's 30 other people who want that same house, and there's like 10 houses on the market, right? So it's being crazy, and again, this year, again, I'm not a fortune teller, but it's going to be an interesting year, as we've been kind of talking about, where because of last year and because the prices skyrocketed so quickly, it's especially these first few months, when you see these articles coming out, it's gonna I'm predicting it's gonna be a lot of doom and gloom, because last year, I believe in March or sorry, February, our numbers were at 1.2 million, and this year we ended off the year at 1.5 million approximately. So when those numbers start to come in, you're going to see this huge, even if we go up a little bit from last month to this month, the year over year numbers are going to be staggering, because again, around last year around February we were at 1.2 million. This year we're probably going to be somewhere, if we stay stable from December, we'll be just over 1 million. So you're looking at like around a 20% decrease year over year, which is pretty much what you would call crash territory. So just a fair warning that when these articles and these YouTube videos all come out, there's going to be a lot of doom and gloom in the market. But just remember, you want to look at all the. I keep on telling you guys, you want to look at the numbers from a big point of view, and don't just get read an article, watch a video, and take it as what it is. You want to see the bigger picture, like what's actually going on. As I keep on telling you guys, there's many ways. Numbers are great, but if you don't analyze them properly and look at them properly, whoever is giving the information can really make it seem however they want to make it seem, right? So I'm not saying that we're in for like a great year, because it is going to be a rocky year in my opinion, but you want to take it with a grain of salt, where even if this year we're at just over 1 million now, even if we stay stable for the whole year, it's still gonna be pretty crazy when you look at it from year over year, because the numbers went from where they were at the high point last year to this year. So just be careful with that. And I think our hero is back. I guess his mission is over. So
well, Anthony, if I may, a lot of people listening are saying, okay, why is the market like it is? What was the cause? Was it COVID? Was it what? Why are we seeing these interest rates and these issues?
Well, it's a lot of things, right? Yeah, it's the interest rates. It's really a collection of a lot of things that came and not knowing how it was new for all these people, so not knowing how to deal with it. People really just saying, okay, let's do this, and not thinking it through, and really we got stuck with a bunch of crap in the long run. So, and Randy, sorry, Gary, Randy just actually showed us. So what I was talking about earlier is I saw an article from Sweden, and it's kind of the same blueprint that happened here, where Tim Macklin, he said there's not going to be any rate hikes until 2024. So go out and buy your homes, to get all your stuff, and you should be fine. And then he just hits you with rate hike after rate hike after rate hike. Well, in Sweden, they kind of did the exact same thing, where their main honcho over there said the same thing, and they're having the exact same problem we're having, where the houses kind of just shot up, and now they're coming down because of all these rate hikes. So that's where we're
in Sweden.
In Sweden, yes.
Did he apologize to the people?
Did he apologize? I'm not sure if he apologized or not. But
well, I think it's important that they apologize. The problem with this whole thing is that the institutions, the financial institutions, are the big winner. And it's really strange to me how mainstream media, even though they are touching on it, they're not really hitting hard. Like, I don't know, personally, I think this whole thing should be illegal, because what's happened here, and it's common, so this is why many people are okay with it, because it's something that's happening throughout many different countries, because the central banks played this hand, played this scenario, played this game, if you want to call it, this scheme or scam. No, I wouldn't say that. But it would only be a scam, really, if we did it. If we did that, then it would be a bad thing. But with the central banks doing it, it's okay. And to basically, give the federal government unlimited spending power is what they did. That's really in essence what it is, right? Because the federal government can't spend that much money and have people buy that debt. People won't honor those bonds. It's like, you don't have that kind of money, you're spending too much. So the central banks had to step in and say, oh, either we're going to support the governments for the ridiculous way that they're going to try to handle this COVID. And that's why everybody sort of thinks it's okay too, because they're saying, oh, but it's like a pandemic, so we got to do it like this. And it's like, no, who said we have to do it like this? Like, the whole psychology behind shutting everybody down was that COVID lasts for 14 days, so if we shut it down, it's going to be over in 14 days. 2 years, they're still running this same playbook, trying to make that work. Well, you figured it out in 14 days, and some people even started blaming it on kids that were in the park and teenagers that went down to have a drink by the bridge, and started blaming it on really silly stuff, because COVID was spread everywhere. It wasn't just spread where those kids were. And then so they shut things down, and then therefore they were just spending like crazy, and probably a little bit of misspending, probably, when they're moving money that fast. Probably misspending. What was the next thing that happened? The next thing that happened is that after they do all the spending,
they started
inflation.
And they started giving everybody money as well, right? Everyone was staying home, and they're getting paid to sit home, and pretty much. And they're getting paid to stay home, and they had nothing to spend their money on at the time because they couldn't leave their house to spend. There's no travel. You're pretty much, you can buy from Amazon, but other than that, you weren't going out for dinner. You weren't, again, going on vacation.
The economy wasn't turning.
Yeah.
We were in a depression. Realistically speaking, under any other terms, it could be considered a pretty severe recession, or a depression, because if you can't earn money and you can't work, then that's a depression. But meanwhile, they turned it. They played this little financial game where the fiscal policies and the monetary policies got married, and made it the most prosperous time in the history of Canada.
But the thing is, though, like I was telling the listeners before, like Canada did the same thing. The U.S.,
right.
Sweden, I'm sure other places did as well. So is it that they just had no idea? Is it like all the thinking heads came together and said this is the best plan, and this just backfired? Did they know what they're doing?
Well, and that's an awesome question. It's really group think. These guys, they're brilliant minds when it comes to economics. Economics is mainly people who look at the history of the economics and try to predict the future. And so they have this cool little game that they found, the QE game, and which is what I was getting to in my little soliloquy that I was doing there. They found this QE game where they're able to actually buy the debt that the government can't sell. And because of legislation, they can't buy it directly. So they sort of do some discussions, some memos. They do some discussions and memos and things, and they, the next thing, sorry guys, I lost my mic here. Oh, there we go. So they do some discussions and memos with the banks, and they say, oh, you know what, if you guys buy this debt, we will buy it back from you, and you'll make a profit. And it's like, yeah, how does that work? Well, you buy it, we'll issue it, you buy it, and then we'll give you these things called settlement balances, which means we're not printing money, we're just going in and increasing your account so you can spend more. and you get, it'll be great. And then not only that, if interest rates go up, you'll make even more money. Yeah, all I gotta do is buy this, give it to you, you buy it back. Yeah, that's all. And so they're like, okay, guys, let's have a huddle.
Like
hey, do you guys think this is a good idea? We can make we can make money. And so they do it. So banks are like, yeah, this is a great idea.
Who's their influencer? Is it Bernie Madoff?
No, it just happens. It makes logical sense from a economic point of view. It makes logical sense from the central bank's point of view. And that's why you have Tiff Macklin, who I'm going to admit, he's a very brilliant man, but he's making some real fundamental confidence errors. When you tell the public that you did not print any money.
But again, he said this, the guy in Sweden said this. I don't know if in the Fed, if they said the same thing, but again, it just seems like everyone's doing the same thing. So again, is it go back to the groupthink thing, or like, because like if everybody's doing it, it just seems like what's going on here. Like, why does nobody think for themselves? Is it just okay? They did this.
No, I think they're really bright, brilliant people. I think they think for themselves. But there's different things. Like we can ask ourselves different kinds of questions to come up with answers, and then that causes a problem, right? The questions that you ask, like for example, well, how can we get $100,000 today? Well, you can't go out and do anything legal to do that. So now you got to go out and do something illegal, basically, especially if you only earn $100,000 a year and you got to make it a day. So now you're thinking about robbing a bank, jacking up old ladies, like stealing cars.
Old ladies?
Like,
how much money old ladies got on
I have no idea, but you know what I mean? Like, because you asked a question that, and you're moving in that direction. I have a feeling that, that the questions that they're asking is, how do we, how do we allow our federal government to continue with its fiscal policy in a really difficult time? How do we turn a recession or a depression into a prosperous time? And they found it through QE. You just bombard the economy with money. And as a central banker, you're not even printing money. You're not. You're just going in and changing settlement bank balances to the banks. So it is a mystical process that can really do some magical things, but it has side effects. And what's funny is that they know the side effects. When Tiff Macklin was approached with the side effects of him doing it, his response was, well, I don't believe that inflation is our problem. And at that time, inflation was not our problem. But inflation comes after you spend a whole bunch, not before. He goes, I believe that our biggest problem is deflation. And boom, now he has the confidence to go ahead and create this ridiculous environment of prosperity. And what he really did that was super wrong was he went out and he told Canadians to spend, and that Bank of Canada will be here for you, and rates will be low for a very long time, and you can have confidence in it. That's what he did that was crucially wrong. And then to me, that was the first thing that he did wrong. And then he turned on people, and now he's saying, oh, we understand that it's going to be painful, which is mean you're bankrupting a whole bunch of people, which is really language that to me is considered very insensitive. And then you say, oh, no, we didn't print any money. Well, it's the equivalent of printing money, because now the banks can spend that money, so it's going to turn into the economy. So it is printing money. It's just the modern day version of printing money, but you think we're too stupid to figure it out, to be honest. So when you start combining these things, and the other one that really got me hard is when he said, oh no, we don't want any of the companies to raise the wages any way for the people.
Not the wages, the bonuses.
Well, wages, bonuses, anything.
He said wages too?
Yeah, I believe it was wages that he talked about, not bonuses.
Oh, I thought it was
but
bonuses.
no, I believe it was wages that he was talking about because the companies needed to raise the wages to attract the people because the people didn't feel like working after you gave them a holiday and they go, holy shit, this is a good life. I could just hang around and zip Tahitis and stuff like that. So they decided that a lot of people just don't feel like going and doing the grind. You know, they were brainwashed into it, and now they were brainwashed out of it, and now they don't want to work. And so the job market has to compete really hard to get people, and therefore they got to raise the wages to attract them. And so he was saying, don't do that because that will add to inflation, which is true. But you just gave out $180 million in bonuses. And so these discussions here, for anybody who followed them, is very upsetting at best. And so, yes, it's common amongst the central banks, but what they're all finding is that there is a side effect to this miraculous tool that they did. And there's two, and I'm going to say there's two side effects to it. One is anytime you marry your monetary policy with your fiscal policy and your government spend money like water, inflation will follow, period. That's one. Two is that whole game takes money out of the citizens' pockets or their children's pockets, and it puts it into the bank's pockets. The people, as far as I'm concerned, that actually don't need more help. They're already mandated. We're mandated to get checks that we have to, for our income, we have to put in the bank. We can't move cash. And so they say, oh, great, everybody's mandated on that. We're going to charge you to have an account. And or you got to keep X amount of dollars if you don't want to eliminate that, because we got to use money. And they've already got so much power that you don't need to be giving them all this extra money of ours, Canadians' money. You don't need to be doing that with these little games. And now, what the final part of it is that the Bank of Canada now there's articles out now saying that the Bank of Canada could lose as much as $8.8 billion. $8.8 billion from this scheme. And then I did a talk on that, and someone wrote me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, and yada, 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 and the banks don't have, the Bank of Canada has nothing to do with the federal government. Give me a break. It's insane. I won't do it because we'll take up too much time. I can explain to you exactly how it happens. They don't have anything necessarily to do with it. But when you align your policies with the monetary policies, which is the Bank of Canada's policies, with the fiscal policies, which is the federal government's policies, and they align lockstep together, that's when they're together. It's really that simple. They're working together because the federal government could not have done what they did if the Bank of Canada didn't support them and follow them. And they're supposed to be independent, not working it together. And they worked it together to take a ton load of money, and now it looks like $8.8 billion more it's going to cost Canadians. And that was the other thing. They said, oh, that doesn't affect Canadians. Of course it does. Bank of Canada usually makes $1 billion or $2 billion, gives it to the government, and the government has it to help to pay down the debt and do their fiscal policies. But now they're not going to make anything. As a matter of fact, they're going in the hole, $8.8 billion. So that's money that Canadians are no longer getting. So we've got to suffer through that, and we've got a debt that's piling up there that the Bank of Canada has to make back in future years. Insane. Sorry. It's been a rough read. It's been a very rough read.
All right, so
Go ahead.
we have a few emails in. This was from before you guys were here. Hey, Anthony. From Bob. Hey, Anthony, was superhero Randy out fighting crime? Love you guys. Well, I'm sure that's what he'll tell you, but we can, we'll leave that one. Subject is doom and gloom from Mike.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, this information makes it virtually impossible for anyone to purchase a home now. What the hell. Let's go with the hell for that one.
Yeah. So in terms of purchasing a home, there's two schools of thought here. One is, this is a very difficult time. I think Anthony touched on the fact that we are definitely going to have a real estate crash this year. I mean, for some reason nobody's talking about it, but there's going to be a real estate crash this year for sure. You're going to be looking at January numbers somewhere in the double digits, something like 17% below last year. And you're going to look at, and that's the media is going to be jumping all over that. And then you're going to be looking at February somewhere in the 20s% below last year. And so those are the two worst months in history. We are going to have the worst average price year in the history of the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Average price decline? Like what do you think?
Yeah, it's a crash. So I consider a crash only when we drop below the previous year. We can't crash our way up. Like last year, everybody's talking about last year, it's a crash. And I was the one saying, well, unfortunately, the way we read the statistics since the beginning of time, we are not crashing. Well, as a matter of fact, we ended up the year with 8.6% over last year. So that's not a crash.
So this kind of
but this year will be a crash.
So for last year, a lot of people were talking about like the peak to trial of the year. So peak to trial last year was I think around 30%, like from the highest to the lowest.
Okay.
Right? But from January to February, January to December, for basically year over year, it was actually up 8%, right? So if you're going to look at it arbitrarily at a certain point to a certain point, then you can say there was a 30% crash last year if you go from numbers that we don't generally use. But when you look at it year over year, it was still, again, as you're saying, like the best year ever, I think, last year.
Last year was the highest average price in the history of the GTA.
All right, and we actually have a few emails, but one from earlier in the week from Walt, and it says predictions. Hello, your team. When does the official spring real estate market start? Any predictions? Thank you.
We just gave
it. So we kind of talked about it.
So, it starts March, April, May. That March, April, May is the spring market. So it doesn't start then, but that's our spring market. And predictions are we are going to be well below last year. It's going to start off with the double-digit negatives in January. It'll be all over the news. The real estate market has crashed, and they're going to be correct when you're looking at traditional stats. And so there's, changing the stats midway because they don't suit us or they don't tell the story that you want to tell, I don't think is the correct thing to do, but it's much better sensationalism. But in this case, telling the traditional story is the sensationalism, which is really interesting. So that's March is going to be, January is going to be double digits. February is going to be double digits. And we think January is going to be like 17 or something, and February is going to be like 25, 27 or something like that. And then March is going to be not too much fun either. March is going to be double digits again. April and May will probably be double digits again. Close to it anyways. Well, no, I believe there'll be double digits still. So we're going to have a huge crash downwards. And basically, even if prices rise, and this is what's going to make it very strange, because there's two ways to see this, guys. We see it traditional numbers, and then you see what you're actually feeling on the ground. We're going to transition in and out of both. So what's going to happen is that we are going to have a huge market crash. But what we're going to actually feel on the ground is really a lot of nothing. And what I mean by that, it's going to be hard. Our transactions are going to be low, so it's another thing we really got to consider. But in terms of the average price, there's really not a lot of movement. Average price has been holding since July of last year. And but even if it holds or even peaks upward a little bit, it's still going to be these huge negative numbers over last year that are going to come out and make this 2023 the worst real estate crash in the history of real estate.
So just to kind of, put a different spin on that. So I think our numbers right now are just over $1 million right now, like $1 million and change, right? So
And 50-ish.
Yeah. So even if we rise by 5% for the year, it would still be a crash overall, is what you're saying, because of how high last year was.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Because we're at $1,050,000 going up against 1.2, almost $200,000 more.
Yeah.
So we would have to have a huge rise to get to zero.
Yeah.
We need prices to go up $200,000 on average to get to zero for a flat market. So we're definitely going to be recording huge negatives, and the media is going to have a field day with it.
And having a flat market this year with everything that happened last year with the rates would actually probably be a pretty good year.
Yeah, it would be, it would be hard for you to say it's a good year because you're going to look like a clown when everything is down.
Yeah.
But it would certainly say that the real estate market is very resilient, to be able to withstand such, assault with monetary policies. But there's a lot more policies coming down the pipeline that are sucking money out of our economy. And these are the things that you won't hear on mainstream media and and I don't know if I'll have time to go over them on this show, but the regulators are tightening up their belts huge. They are not confident in this marketplace. Go ahead.
All right, so a few more emails. We have a new acronym for you, RIR, which I don't know if I agree with so much, but RIR, Randy is right.
Oh my gosh.
Super Randy is so right regarding COVID. 2 weeks, that is what the government of the world said. BS. It is about control. Love your radio show. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Another one from Dwayne. Hi, your team. I love the truth of the show. It's about time someone tells it like it is. Thank you, Dwayne.
It's scary. It's scary because if Justin Trudeau hears any of this, it could be unacceptable views. You could have your bank account frozen.
You
well,
could
good
be in
luck with
jail.
that. Then you're going to have to pay the bills that are in it.
You can freeze mine. It's not how much there is.
What else did he do? He locked up some people, right? Locked them up in jail. So you got to be careful with these unacceptable views.
All right, 3 more. So we have one from Fred. Hey, long time listener here from Alpine, Michigan. I do love this take on the real estate market. So refreshing to hear the truth about things. Thank you, Fred from Michigan. So you're as cold as we are.
Fred.
Although it's pretty good
Yeah.
here so far. From Don, subject prison time. Hello, your team. The people responsible for all this should go to prison. Crooks, idiots, and incompetents. Well.
Yeah, I'm not commenting on that one.
And the last one you might want to comment either, but the last one from Cameron, subject, hey kids. We are effed. And the effed is in capital with a bunch of exclamation marks. And you can quote me, so.
Did he spell it out?
Oh,
He
he
spelled
spelled it
it out.
out
He
in
spelled it
big
out.
letters.
Oh, so I was going to say we're not sure what he's
No,
saying.
we're
then.
sure. I PG-fied it.
Okay.
Thanks, Cameron. So, well, yeah, it's going to be a tough year. Well, it's
Yes.
It's just crazy because I was watching some YouTube videos about how even Costco, looking at things like last year the price, this year the price, and how it's just crazy. Even little things like cookies. You usually get the 18-pack of cookies for $6.99. It's now $10. It's just madness.
Yeah, everything, even the little things are gone up like $2-3. It's
Or they make the packages smaller and the same price.
yeah.
And put air in it.
We're back on the air, huh?
to bag. Well, actually, it's not air. The lady said it's something to keep it fresh. It's a special.
No, the air keeps.
No, actually,
it
it's
fresh.
what I said. When you pack it, when you put it in, it's full, but then it settles. It settles. I don't know why you're looking at me like that.
It's true, because if
I
you
think it's a
take
scam. I'm not
if you
gonna-
take, he's right, because if you
I'll
take
do
a
it.
bag of chips
See,
and you
we
just
need
drop them
AIR,
anyway.
Air. Anthony is right. See, mine even sounds better. Air.
I think what
Anthony
they do is
right.
they put nitrogen in there to keep the chips fresher. But you're right, it is pretty well, 90% air and 10% chips.
So you think
I don't hear
AIR
anything.
Air.
is the acronym? Okay.
Anthony is right.
And then, if I had to add anything to that, I'd add hot to it. And, so we could agree on hot air.
I'll figure that one out too. Don't worry. I'll come up with something for that. All right. So, ladies and gents, if you want to join in on the fun, we would love to hear from you. You can feel free to send us an email at onair@yourteam.pro. And I forgot to tell you earlier, but you can also watch us on YouTube. We are there live now. Just go to YouTube @yourteampros, and you'll find us there. YouTube.com/@yourteampros, and it'll take us right to our page. You can put a name to the face to the name.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have anything that you want to share, Miss Jackie.
I got a whole bunch.
Well, just a couple of tiny things, like you're talking about, the cost of real estate and everything, but then when you think about it, when they do their budget for this year, a lot of other things are going to go up, which is things that we depend on. We don't have a choice but to get. And one is like your property tax. Your property tax is, in Toronto, they're talking about 5.5% increase, and multi-resident units will be only 2.75 increase. But I mean,
Oh,
that's
but they're very
quite a bit.
concerned about housing prices. But meanwhile, they're jacking up the taxes.
That's what I'm saying, more than the taxes.
So this is it. So when we hear that they are concerned about this, it is not true. How can you be concerned about it and you're jacking the taxes up? It just doesn't make any sense. But we've discovered that it's not something that's supposed to make sense. It's actually about getting votes, being in power, and then doing whatever it is you have to do.
City building fund. So people are going to have to pay a little extra to the city building fund, around 1.5%, which means each homeowner will be paying about an extra $233 a year. And guess what else is going up? Water and wastewater consumption. Who looks at their water bill and sees that you've probably spent $30 water and the other $200 is getting the line into the house, discarding the gray water? I mean, it's ridiculous. Now it's going up by 3%. So you're going to see that. Your water's going up, as well as solid waste management is going up 3%. And the TTC fares are talking about raising 10 cents.
Well,
So-
they got higher gas prices than that, so.
Still, I'm still saying, like, you think it's just, we talk about real estate and all that, but it's like a trickle effect, right? Everything, instead of trying to help us get through the rough time and afford our houses and everything, well, let's let them live in their house, but they can't do anything else. They can't have running water. They can't have hydro because it's too expensive. But hey, we got a house. So it's a little odd.
Yeah.
But it's the way it works, I guess.
Yeah, so it is, we are doing a little bit of doom and gloom, because the truth of the matter is Canadians are very resilient, and what we're talking about here is basically what the banks are saying, the people who have overextended themselves. Now, just remember, the one reason why I really that irks me is because of what I just discussed prior to that, which was the Tiff Macklem's saying to go out and stir the economy, and then came out, gotcha, now I'm going to bankrupt you. And so the thing is that it's not all necessarily doom and gloom. Like I said, the real truth of the matter is, for homeowners today, if the market remains the way it is, it will be recorded as one of the worst time in histories, but we've already gone through the pain. And we would be coasting now, and the stats are what's really hitting the marketplace. And the problem really with that is that when these stats hit the marketplace, consumer confidence can get rocked, right? People get scared. People, and we know that in 1990, that people were walking away and giving their keys back to the bank. And we're going to have much more devastating numbers than that. And on top of the numbers being negative, now the renewal costs are really expensive. And so for the mind that will look at the negative news saying it's down 20% and they go, well, I bought it for 1.3 and it's only worth 1, but my mortgage was 3,000 and now it's 5, I'm gone. I would urge people to not go. It may seem bad. You let go of your house and you were really fortunate, interest rates were so low, and you were looking at a $3,000 mortgage when to rent it would have cost you $35,000. So you have to remember that if you do walk away from your house, your rental cost is going to go up anyways. From the $3,000, you're going to be paying $35,000 to $4,000 to be in a similar house.
But yeah, you have to think it through though. So
And yeah, so that's one. And then two is that the $5,000 that you're paying, a portion of that is forced savings. So you're going to be paying down your $1.3 million eventually down. And let's say that this problem lasts 10 years, in 10 years you would have paid off, $700,000 of your mortgage. And so, you would be, and at that time, the market will definitely be back to where it was, in the happy times. And then probably an explosion will follow somewhere thereafter. And you're going to miss all of that because you're looking in the moment at at the fact that your home is not the value of what you purchased it for. So you're going to throw away your $250,000 that you had in it because the value is just not there. Not a good idea. I think you need to buckle down and hang in there and find a way to scrape to get through this, and you will be rewarded. And if you want to know, maybe we should do the simulation that we created I created one about 10 years ago, and what we did is we looked at the 1990 crash, right? And we looked at if you were to buy at the peak, which was 89, and then go through the channels of all the declines that we had for 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94, all declining market. 95 was a little tiny bit above zero, so it was a plus market, and then 96 was a declining market again. So you went through all these years of a negative market. Many people walked away from their homes, but if you just stuck with it, 97 and on, it became better. 10 years later, it was even, and after that, it flowed. But the good thing about the 10 years later is your money went to paying down your mortgage, whereas when you rent, it's paying down nothing. So at the end of that 10 years, you got Zippo.
I think that's add on. It kind of depends. Like if you're like at retirement age and you're like looking to cash out,
True.
then yeah, then take your money and run. But
Yes,
as long
yes.
as long as you're there for, I'd say, 5, 10 plus years, especially if it's 10 or more, if you're planning on, you have a young family, even if maybe you want to pass it on to your kids later, I would say it's as Randy's saying, it definitely makes sense just to figure a way out. Like, don't sell off the property, and then because once you sell it, trying to get back in it's way hard. It's much easier to have a house to get to another house than it is to go from not owning a home to getting one, especially with the amount of money you need now up front to get into a house, right? Because right now with houses at $1 million, I think as we've been speaking about, once you cross that $1 million platform, you need at least $20,000 to get into the house, right? Because you need at least 20% down. So
Right.
Yeah.
And one other thing is, if you were retiring, you didn't just buy a $1.3 million
Yeah,
home
that's
with $200,000 down. So
Hopefully,
that
hopefully.
I strongly doubt it. That would be, and so what we're speaking about is people who are just trying to start their lives in many cases, or take their lives one more step. And unfortunately, our governmental bodies have actually turned on you. So I think that what we need to do is we need to go back and watch the movie The Matrix and see all the symbolism in that movie of the system, controlling the people. Because what is really strange here, guys, is if we go through the actual numbers within the marketplace is extremely strong. It's a very strong marketplace with very low numbers, but it's very strong. It's holding up to all this pressure with very strong numbers. It just the numbers are very low. And so the marketplace is really not what's doing this. There's another force, and that just tells you that actually everything is run by our government policies. That's what determines our economy. That's what determines our recessions. And look at it. In a time when none of us were allowed out of our houses, we weren't allowed we weren't allowed out of our houses, we weren't allowed to work, we weren't allowed to do anything. It became the most prosperous time in history. That is a monetary and fiscal policy market that made it prosperous. Do you remember at the beginning of COVID, we all thought we were going to go bankrupt? And then the government came out, started giving a little bit of money, and then they lowered the rates, and then they pumped money into the banks, and then all of a sudden, explosion of money out of nowhere. We all had money, and now that environment that we were supposed to face then, we're going to face it now.
But harsher, potentially.
It's going to be different, and you know what? Oh, I do want to say one more thing. It
Wait,
is
one more thing?
only one.
Half an hour?
It is the it's only going to be a small percentage of Canadians that are going to really what they say feel the pain, but it's going to amount to tens of thousands of people.
Well,
On a grand scale, and that's where I think the insensitivity of it all is, because they can go, oh, it's only 1 to 2.5% of our customers that are feeling that, and I'm like, so how many customers is that? Oh, around 20,000. So 20,000 people are going to feel pain, and you think that that's okay? I'll get into that another time. Go ahead.
Go back to the whole COVID thing too with the death rate, but anyways. All right, so we have a few emails. One from well, no, seriously, because 1%, if 1% people die, and if the whole world gets it, that's could be like
large numbers.
Yeah, very, very large numbers.
Yeah.
All right, so we have one from Donna. Kudos to Jackie. Our wastewater rates are through the roof. I am now looking for ways to drink my pee to reduce my bill. Well, there may be ways. I saw this. I think there's this.
Someone peeing in a bottle?
Well, there's this YouTuber. He was doing some research on this device where you can go to like a river, any river, put the water in.
Yeah, and put the chlorine pills in.
Maybe it becomes like completely drinkable. So,
Yeah, we used to do that. You're not a camper.
No.
Oh yeah, man. We learned that as
You
kids.
didn't drink your pee. You got the
No,
river
no,
water and cleaned that.
We did not drink pee. We drank the water. We got the water, put a couple pills in it, shook it up.
Would it work for the pee?
No.
Are you sure? How do you know? You're just guessing.
I guess if you were stuck on an island or something like that, or I don't know, stuck not on an island, somewhere where there's no water.
Mostly water, so why not?
I don't know, man. It sounds.
Could be like a reverse osmosis or ceramic filter of some type.
And we have another one, so we're gonna come back to this hot air business as well. But we have another one from Sadie, S-A-D-I-E. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Welcome to Randy and Friends. I'm a packaging engineer. It is nitrogen that is put in the bags of chips. The bags are sold by weight before the nitrogen is added. It is not sold by volume of the product in the bag. So, and going back to this hot air. So Anthony is right for the AIR. HOT, honest, objectful, thoughtful. Anthony is right. There you go.
HOT is your new accurate.
Honest, objective, and thoughtful. Anthony is right.
You had and in there, so that would be HOAT. So keep working
where's
on
the
it.
and? There's no and.
You
Honest,
did and
objective,
in there.
Thoughtful. Anthony
You
is
said
right.
and thoughtful.
No, okay.
Because you're trying to make it like I said.
We'll take it out.
I think
We'll
you're
take
going to
it-
have to work on that. But I can't believe that you sat there all this time looking up acronyms.
I didn't need to look it up.
You did, because I saw you glance
I'm
to
just
your
quick.
screen.
Don't worry about the screen. So what else you got for us?
But honestly, I know that personality because I used to have it, and I grew out of it. I was going to get counseling, but I just grew out of
So you
it.
didn't get counseling?
I didn't need it. Just saying. But if you want to come out of that, because it must be a lot of pressure on you.
I don't know if we have any doctors listening,
It
but
must be a lot of pressure on you. Counseling would probably help, but if you just wait, you might grow out of it. Don't worry. I grew out of it at around 50.
Anywho, around 50. So I got a few more years. But is this what I got to look forward to?
Hey, if you're
Yeah.
lucky.
Yes, this is what you
If
have to
you're
look
lucky.
forward to.
Okay, you guys want me to take over the show, or you guys got some stuff?
You got 9 minutes.
Oh, shoot.
I had another one, but it's not that. It is the 3 Ontario cities ranks amongst the cheapest in Canada to rent a home. Usually, I like doing these little blurbs. So let's go down to. So, they are going to, according to Points to Home, the top 4 cheapest cities to rent or own a home are located in Quebec. All 4 of them.
Wow.
And yeah,
We all gotta
so
learn French.
Trois-Rivières, Saguenay, not much.
I think you could have practiced them before you came.
Saguenay?
Saguenay,
Sherbrooke.
Sherbrooke, and Levi's. They are the rent. Wow, I guess what's this? A bachelor?
$600?
Sleeping in the kitchen? I don't know what this is. I've never seen these prices, but it's like $676, $689, $760,
I think
$892,
we might need to fact check these.
which is almost what they're paying total in mortgage. But yeah, I don't get those either, Anthony. But and then the top 15 cities in Canada with the
the most
highest
expensive?
shelter cost, and they're pretty much the same ones for renting. Well, number 1 is Oakville, which we can see.
Yeah.
Richmond Hill, we can see. Brampton, number 3.
Wow.
That one I did not see coming.
No, it'd have to be East Brampton.
Yeah.
Ajax is number 6?
Yeah, Milton is 4, Vaughan is 5, yep. Ajax is 6, Markham is 7, Vancouver is 8, Whitby is 9.
Wait, how is
the most
Toronto?
expensive?
Wait, how is Toronto number 10? We need to.
No,
fact check.
what is it
The
at?
highest
Highest
shelter
shelter
costs.
There's no way Toronto is below.
That's-
Toronto's
I
more
know.
expensive than Whitby and
and
Ajax.
Ajax, yeah.
Hold on, these are the
They
most.
got them
expensive-
rated almost the same right now. Whitby is 2,048 and Toronto's 2,038.
We know that Whitby is expensive.
Is this from Wikipedia, Jackie?
Huh?
Is this from Wikipedia? Is that where you're getting your facts from?
No, from TO Blog. They're pretty good. I like them.
Okay.
They have a lot of good stories. But yeah, Toronto's number 10, Surrey, BC, 11.
Is this assuming that everyone in Toronto doesn't have a mortgage because they paid off the mortgage? Like if it was
Miss-
that, then maybe. But
Mississauga, Langley, Burlington, and Okanagan.
Cool.
So, but for renters, Whitby is the lowest. So come on out here and look for your rental item,
Whitby's
folks.
the lowest for rental?
Yeah, but it's like Anthony's saying,
Oshawa's
Toronto
lower.
is second lowest, which makes
I think
no
the numbers
sense.
are messed up.
Yeah.
I think they're messed up. The information pool wasn't complete enough, or something. Who knows?
So how do they publish these stories?
Because they found
When
the
it's all
information and they
flippin'
published
wrong.
it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily wrong with the information they have. That's what it is.
Data.
When was it taken? At what point? We have some questions for 2
2
that.
days ago. 2 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 days a
No, when was the information pulled from? Was it pulled for the month of December?
Oh, they don't say
yeah,
that, but
I know, that's what I'm
the
saying.
story was written 2 days ago.
Go back to our numbers.
Cool.
Can be,
So,
changed
like,
then.
you have something to say, Anthony, or should I just go on this?
You have 4 minutes.
'Cause only 4 minutes. Okay, you know what? I'll just give some headlines. Globe and Mail. Record numbers of condos to flood the market in 2023. So a record number of new condo units will be completed in Toronto in 2023, just as skyrocketing mortgage rates make it harder for investors to close on their properties. 32,000 condos will hit the city and surrounding suburbs, surpassing the previous year's high of 2020, when it was 22,473. So, at a time of when transactions are low, in other words, the number of properties that are selling are quite low, we're going to have an influx of inventory. That is not necessarily a good sign, and that could cause our pricing to decline more, because one of the things that is keeping our market stable is the low inventory. And if you begin to pile up the inventory, then it's going to put a downward pressure
But
on
isn't
price.
inventory piling up anyways? Because right now.
Yes, because of sales, but
Yeah, because in Durham, the time to sell is like 33 days, I think, right now, from the last check.
right, and that's very quick.
Well,
Back when I started, it used to be 6 months, dude.
Well, let me get, it is quick, yes, but every month is being getting higher and higher and higher, right?
Yes.
So when we started this like last year, I think it was like
At 0 days?
Yeah, 0 to, I think it was like said 10 or 5, whatever, but it's consistently gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Right.
if that rate continues, yes, even though we're technically still with numbers in a seller's market, it's shifting.
Right. So the reason why it would say 5, 7 before is because we stopped it from selling, so we could
Yes,
get
yes,
people
okay.
time to see
Yeah.
the property. So the next article is tens of thousands of Canadians could default on their mortgage as interest rate hikes, and this is the banks all got together and have a meeting. And this article, anybody who made a mistake and called me last night while I was reading this article got a good 20-minute soliloquy on this. It is such an insensitive read.
But a 20-minute soliloquy from you is just a regular.
It's a real
conversation.
short one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real insensitive read, to the point where I had to highlight this in 3 different colors, because I had to highlight it on how insensitive our financial institutions are with their approach to human beings out there, because we are just basically digits going across their screen. The green.
Isn't that funny?
Oh,
Just like jail. Are we in jail? Jail, you just
no,
have digits.
I don't feel like I'm in jail.
You just have digits. Are we in jail right now?
and
We
then-
just don't know it.
and then you have the actual real negative, and then and then I had another category of stuff. It is that current stuff that's coming out that proves what they're saying to be. They're hiding their words, and just like when one bank says that they're going to have 20,000 borrowers that are going to go under, and they call it a very manageable situation. And then the green, where all I really did was I started to see why they have the money to manage the situation, was because of OSFI, the Office of Superintendent of Financial Institutions, changed their law, changed the way in which they operate, their guidelines, so that the banks had to keep more money on hand in case there was a financial issue. And it turns out that Scotiabank is right at the line of the old, the amount of money that they had to keep for every mortgage that they kept. It used to be a maximum of 2.5%. And during COVID, they only have to keep at times 1%, at other times 0.5%, but now they're at 2.5%. Well, Scotia was at 2.5%. So any more, and they didn't have the reserves to be able to handle it, and that's why the OSFI changed their rules and made it from up to 4%. For the first time in history, they jumped the rules and then told the banks that they have to keep 3% on hand. So, that is when you do not have confidence in your financial policies, the financial environment, our economy. And the next article here is by Financial Post. Bank of Canada could lose up to $8.8 billion over the next few years. Well, we've been talking about that here for quite some time. Thank heavens that they're jumping on the bandwagon there. This next one is consumer insolvencies rose 16% year over year in November. And I wanted to sort of say this, that's consumer insolvency, but business insolvencies were up 58%. Pretty scary things sort of coming down bank. And this next one, which is, this one makes me a little bit excited to know that economists and that are like starting to say, hey, Bank of Canada messed up. Bank of Canada's forward guidance strategy backfired. And this is chief economist coming out and saying that, and that's on Bloomberg BNN. I'll get into that deeper at another time. We gotta go. Thanks for joining us. This is Your Home, Your Money, and Our Lives on realityradio101.com. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101.